Chapter 1. The faded newspaper clipping caught my eye as I sifted through the contents of the dusty cardboard box. I recognized the familiar headline, Robert the Pied Piper, though it had been over 2 decades since I first came across that curious article. Running my fingers over the brittle yellowed paper, I was transported back to 1998 at Cambridge as I slaved away on my thesis. Back then, I'd found the story amusing, albeit unsupported by science or medicine. A boy who could control vermin with song? Preposterous. Now, sitting amidst a sea of unpacked boxes in my new Florida home, I studied the clipping with fresh eyes. At 55, after debunking countless cases of supposed demonic possession and helping hundreds of patients overcome mental illness, perhaps there were phenomena I didn't yet understand. The melody of crashing waves outside my window called to me like a siren's song. I would find this Robert, I resolved, and uncover the truth behind his mysterious ability. My reputation as a well-established and accomplished psychiatrist allowed me a never-ending source of income and challenging subjects. It took a month to settle into my new office, with its ocean views and warm breezes. Most of my patients continued sessions remotely, while I also worked with local hospitals and county services. In between, I dove into research, determined to pick up the trail of the so-called Pied Piper. Late at night, I pored over microfiche archives, ancient tomes, and conspiracy theory message boards. Finally, a clue emerged. Buried in a fringe science journal was a photograph of a dark-haired teenager surrounded by rats and roaches. The boy's piercing green eyes stared back at me from the grainy image. The caption read simply, Robert, age 16. I sat back, heart racing. I was determined to find the boy Piper. By now, I figured he would be in his late 30s or early 40s. Part of me was hoping he was still alive, but there was a small part of me that felt things would be better left alone. The sun was setting as I closed the office for the day. I took a walk down by the boardwalk. The wind was warm, and the sound of the waves was soothing. I found a bench to sit on and opened my laptop. I typed in Robert the Pied Piper and immediately was met with the old article I kept all those years in my book. Nothing new was added to the story. I searched further and found a few more current events about Robert, but nothing that alluded to his abilities being proven. Then, 10 years ago, a small news story from the New York Post popped up. It was a very small article, and it was nothing that would hit the mainstream news. It was one of those stories they use as fillers when there isn't enough news to fill a whole day's worth. It read, True Horror, Man Controls Beast and Insect. The story was a bit gruesome. According to witnesses, 2 men got into an altercation after exiting a bar. One man struck the other. By the time the police arrived, the man who landed the punch was attacked by a gang of rats that came out of the sidewalk sewer. They began biting his feet, while others scurried up his legs and attacked his arms. After the man fell to the ground, sewer roaches emerged, covering his face and body. They entered his mouth when he tried to scream. By the time the police arrived, the man was dead and half-eaten. A man was taken into custody for questioning. I scrolled down further to see what happened to the man. The article stated that he told the officers he could control rats and insects, but was unable to stop them from attacking the man when he was hit. They were only protecting him. The article did not state the name of the man, yet for some reason, I knew he could only be Robert. I surfed the web for nearly 2 hours and was ready to give up on my search for the day when I found one last article about a man named Robert Shaman, aka the Pied Piper of New York. Incarcerated in Kirby Forensic Psychiatric Center, a maximum security facility in Washington County, New York, serving a life sentence for murder. It seems that Robert went on a killing spree. He probably broke from all the pressure of society around him. If I had the chance, I probably could have helped him, and maybe I still could. I was still looking for an interesting case to take this year, Plus, it would give me the content I needed to complete my medical journal entries for the year. The decision was easy to make. Plus, I knew I could find a way, with the proper counseling and medication, to get Robert back on track. Perhaps even have him moved to a lower security facility where his treatment could continue. Based on his crimes, he would never be allowed to live outside prison walls. But where he was right now was no place for someone with his type of mental condition. Hello. This is Dr. Carver from the Florida Institute of Mental Health. I would like to speak to Dr. Jamerson concerning a patient of yours. What is the name of the patient? Robert Carmichael. There is a long pause and some mumbling in the background. Yes, Dr. Carver. We do have a patient with that name under our care. I will have Dr. Jamerson call you back at his earliest convenience. Thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to speaking with him as soon as possible. You have just heard Chapter 1 from What About Florida? A short story written by horror author Art Saborio. Read the rest of this spine-tingling horror suspense on medium.com. Click on the link below to continue.